Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the latest Patreon Hangout. So this comes to you once a month and is courtesy of all those who support me on Patreon. So if you want to join that select crowd, then do consider supporting the PowerPlayChess channel on patreon.com/PowerPlayChess and check out the rewards. Tonight, I'm going to be showing you a few of the studies that I've been presenting on the community section of the PowerPlayChess channel. We'll clear up some of those. Some of you weren't entirely sure what the solutions were, so we can look at those here. And I'll also be continuing on from that fantastic Fischer-Anderson game as well, where Fischer showed this remarkable idea of king h1, rook g1, and g4. And I've got a few interesting little things to show you there. So I can see lots of people are joining me now. Let me just rearrange my computer screen here so I can actually see people's comments without turning away from the screen. So welcome to Rushi Shah, Yoav Tami in Prague, Sezgin Serin, and Kaiser Anvar. Hi, and Kai Tomerios. Nice to see you all. That's great. Let me just, again, I'm just adjusting my computers. Daniela Marioni asks, what do you think about the new Grand Prix FIDE format? I don't like it. Rapid and blitz skills are more important than ever. I know what you mean. I mean, I quite like the knockouts, actually. But the only thing is, I think they should ban draw offers. I think they should play Sophia rules so that games are played out. And I think that would be far more interesting. At the moment, you know, they're playing a bit safety first and going into the rapids. So I think it would be much better to actually just ban draw offers, and so games are played out. And then I think that it would be a more interesting tournament. But I quite like the knockout format, actually. You know, it's good to have a break. And I have to say that I thought the last FIDE Grand Prix series was very dull. So I think this is more interesting. Ben Sadler asks, do you agree with Magnus and Fabi being allowed to play in the World Cup and Grand Prix as they don't need to qualify for candidates? No, I haven't really thought about it, actually. I think it makes the World Cup more attractive to have Carlsen and Caruana playing in it. I mean, there are various routes that players can take to get to the candidates. So maybe it's not such a big deal. But yeah, they could potentially knock out an opponent. Maybe Carlsen shouldn't play. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that there is a strong argument that they shouldn't play. But it does make the tournament more attractive. Yeah, don't know. I'll think about that. Hi Ricardo in Mexico. Hi Akib Ghazi in India. And Ahmed Karameldin. Hi from New Jersey. Hopefully you won't get too much commercial interrupts. No, you don't get any advertisements intruding on this hangout. Don't you worry. Temistocles 68. Hello from Germany. Daniel, what's the next project for ChessBase? Actually, I've been very busy with other things, so I haven't actually got a project lined up for ChessBase, but I hope to be visiting again in the autumn, and I should be recording some stuff then. So yeah, be patient, everyone. Be patient. Okay, I'm going to show you the first position. I think, yeah, this one. So this one I set on the community tab. Hi, Mohammed Shahid from Pakistan. So you might well have seen this on the community tab. Just a moment. So here's my first study. If you know the solution, well, just hang back for a moment and maybe let some of the others have a go. So here we go. Let me just make the board a bit bigger. So this is a study by Henry Rink or Henri Rink or Rank. And it is white to play and win. Mohammed Shahid says he has all my DVDs. Mohammed, I'm flattered and delighted that you have all my DVDs. That's fantastic. I hope that you found them beneficial. While you're solving this, I'll have a little slurp of tea. So just to be clear, black is going in this direction. These pawns would like to get to the other side of the board, but it is white to play and win. This is a classic tale of domination. I like it a lot. So just to be clear, black going in this direction. And this pawn makes a massive difference to the position. That is a big hint. Rishi Shah says, I hope you purchased them, the DVDs. I hope so too. Martin Falkaval says, knight b4. Mohammed says he's a really strong player now after studying the DVDs. That's great. You didn't answer the question. Did you actually buy them? I hope you didn't copy them. Okay, knight b4. Well done to Martin Falkaval. Yes, you purchased. Excellent. Maybe you can actually get them from ChessBase India at a reduced rate compared to in Europe and the rest of the world. So knight b4. Of course, allowing the pawn to queen. Now, this is why it's very important that this pawn stands on h3, because it prevents a very annoying check. Now, white to play and win. How do you win this position? And this is also a very good revision of checkmating with the bishop and knight as well. Kaiser Anwar says the knight needs to get to c3. Well, I think you mean c6. Rishi Shah says not available to Pakistan, ChessBase India. Tim says, are we who worked it out allowed to say yet? Okay, why not? So bishop d4, check. So if queen takes bishop, then knight here wins. And this is actually quite important that in this position, in fact, black is going to lose after this because that wins the pawn. So yes, black can't approach to support this pawn. So, well, white just wins this one. Okay, let's go back. So bishop d4 check. And so the king goes in the corner. And now Odd Magna Hagen asks, hi Daniel, could you share your thoughts about Magnus Carlsen's strong comeback in the latest tournaments? His form is great again. Seems to be stronger than ever. How can this happen? Well, I think I would say this is a kind of world championship dividend that he put in so much work last year. And I think it's really paying off. And I think he's much more relaxed after last year as well, when he doesn't have to think about defending the world title. So I think it's a combination of things. And also, he's maintained his physical fitness as well. Yeah, so in this position, basically there are two moves. White can play either knight a6 or knight d5. I think knight d5, personally, I think is the most elegant. And as I said, this pawn on g4, h3 is very important because it covers g4. So white threatens knight c7 mate. And after queen check, for example, then here, and well, obviously white is winning this. Let's just make sure it's not stalemate. This would be a mistake. That's stalemate. So we'll just let the king out. And then you can give this up. And there's no big deal because the king still has this one. Martab Alam asks, I'm a beginner. Please suggest how I can improve my chess to make rating 1500. Play as much as possible. That would be my recommendation. Play as much as possible. Okay, we've done that one. I'm back again. Excellent. Yeah, Magnus Carlsen, very interesting how he's just playing in such great form. He just seems so much more relaxed this year than last year. I mean, I saw him on a few occasions last year at various tournaments, and I have to say he gave off a very nervous impression, actually. He didn't feel comfortable in his own skin. I think he's a lot more relaxed when he's playing this year. And it's all to do with the World Championship, because the title means everything to him. And he knew that in Fabiano, he would have a very, very serious opponent. So it was nervy for him. Let me see. Kaiser Anvar asks, would you suggest players study engine games such as Stockfish and AlphaZero? No, I would not recommend that at all. I don't think it's good really for beginners to study these games. I would stick with the classics. Our friend here is fighting to get to 1500. Keep it simple. Look at some classic games by, let's say, Capablanca. Capablanca is a good one to start with because the themes are very clear. And these guys don't mess around in the opening. They stick to the principles. They bring out their pieces. They develop nicely. This is important. But to look at some kind of complicated strategy played by these machines, which are barely comprehensible to human beings, no, that's not what a beginner should do. Hunter Koblenz says, evening from Lewisham. Well, I could probably wave across out of my window and say hi. Well, not quite. I'm in southwest London rather than southeast London, but anyway. Rushi Shah asked, Daniel, have you thought of becoming world champion before? No, I realized from a very, very young age that was never going to happen. Samir Al-Jubori asked, do I prefer the style of Capablanca or Alekhine? Do you think this comparison is comparable to Fischer and Kasparov? Do I have to choose one of them? I like them both. Away from the chessboard, I'm a Kappa fan. Kappa was just a dude. He was an absolute dude. One love. Yo, Danny, I remembered your hangout this time. Brentford FC made it back up to 11th at the end of a topsy-turvy season. Was it 11th or was it 10th? I thought it was 10th. Yeah, it's lots of ups and downs, but they finished the season pretty well. A good 2-0 victory against Leeds, and they drew against Derby 3-3. That was one of the best games of football I've ever seen. That was incredible. And they finished with 3-0 win in their final game of the season as well. And when they play well, my goodness, Brentford, they're one of the most attractive teams to watch. They are, without doubt, the Barcelona of the lower leagues. Gabriel Raitano asked, Danny, I feel stuck in chess learning. Oh dear. I never paid attention to endgames and I used to get crushed in the opening. What should I do? That sounds like the middle game is your forte. Oh, One Love says Swansea was 10th. Oh, we're Brentford 11th. Okay, shall we settle for mid-table oblivion? Listen, Gabrielle, keep playing. Keep playing. Play as much as possible. That's the secret. Martab Alam asks, Daniel, what do you think? Which players will go to the candidates who will face Carlsen? Well, it's a bit early to say. Okay, let me show you some more chess before we get stuck into this. Okay, what football question? Very good. European finals: Tottenham or Liverpool, Arsenal or Chelsea? I'm really torn. Okay, Arsenal, Chelsea. I'd like Chelsea to win. Tottenham or Liverpool. I like both those teams. I really like them. I think. Oh, I'm not going to be drawn on it. I'm not going to be drawn. I think they're great teams. Okay, listen. I want to look at some chess. So what I want to do is look at. Let me show you this very quickly. This is a recap for those that haven't seen this game. So just a second, folks. Okay, this isn't working. 1 second. Just a moment, folks. Just 1 moment, folks, while I switch windows. Technical hitch, but we'll get there. That's not happening. Sorry, folks, just a moment. I need to get this going. Okay, I'm going to look at, hopefully we can do it now. Yes, finally, here we go. So if you remember, I already showed you this game between Fischer and Anderson in a video not so long ago. And it featured this extraordinary idea of playing. Let me get to it. So it's basically a reversed Sicilian, although Black has played a very modest system. And now Fischer played King H1 and Rook G1. If you haven't seen this in video in its entirety, then please go back to the channel and take a look. I mean, this is just a fantastic opening. Okay, just wait a second. I'm just going to block somebody. Okay, that's better. Yeah. Okay, I just blocked him. If he continues with that, I'll keep going. Okay, so here we go. So this extraordinary idea with G4, and Fischer won this fantastic game. And there's been some discussion about how he developed this idea and who was the first to play this. And I'm actually going to switch out of this. Yeah, I agree. One Love, David's a very nice guy. So just bear this in mind. And let me show you another game that was played in Hastings in 1964. So just bear with me a moment while I switch games. This is really interesting. Sorry, folks. I'll get there in a second. Here we go. Now, so this game played in Hastings in December 1964. Between Antonio Roca, who was from Brazil, perhaps he still is from Brazil, and Florin Gheorghiu from Romania. Gheorghiu, a really strong player, actually, particularly in the 1970s and early 80s even. He was still playing very strong chess. You know, one of the best. So just take a look at this and just bear in mind the Fischer-Anderson game. I might, yes, I'm going to put this on training mode. So it's a Najdorf. As many of you know, one of my favorite openings. Hang on a second. And here, White played bishop c4, which is, of course, a great favorite of Fischer's. There is a huge problem with playing bishop c4, that actually there is a tendency, if White isn't careful, that this bishop gets blocked out of the game. And this is basically what happens in this game. So here, Roca played king h1. Now, we're not about to see rook g1 and g4. This is not why I'm showing this. This would not be a good strategy here. Thank you, Booksy Singh. Glad you liked that book. So b5. So this is the standard way of starting an attack against White's center. Queen e1. So let's see. So this piece formation is very standard, of course, in the Najdorf. It's very harmonious. Now, we saw this same pawn structure in the Anderson game. It's a bit passive, actually. Although it lends the pawn on e4 great support and allows the queen to perhaps pop out here. In fact, it allows Black very easy play because the e5 square is available, basically. And this is a very easy attack to deal with. I mean, obviously, there are threats here, but it's very simple to deal with this. Okay, so what do you think Black should play here? What would you play with Black? Here's my first question for you. What should Black play in this position? Answers, please. You have to be switched on here. Oh, it's gone very quiet. Zia Darklich and Tim Worrell, knight c5. Well done. Knight c5. Lending support to the pawn on e6 and also attacking the bishop. Very important because White actually threatens to play bishop takes e6. So, for example, if a random move here, this would not be a good move because bishop e6 is already very strong. And so on. Oh, actually, that one's not so clear. Knight h5. I'm contradicting myself. King h8 might be possible, but in any case, knight c5 is secure. So bishop back. King h8. Okay, that is preempting bishop h6. But also, well, we're about to see that king h8 has another purpose as well. So bear in mind, this was played several years before Fischer-Anderson. And here, actually, knight e8 was played. But, and it's curious that later on, Georgiou later plays for g5. But here, he could have played straight away rook g8. I don't think this is a bad move at all, with the idea of g5. Okay, sorry, just gonna block this one. He's gone. Well, we've got a couple of nutters here today, haven't we? He's blocked. Hans Andreas Torsvik asks, am I visiting Norway Chess in June? Unfortunately, I won't be. I'll be covering it on the channel, but no, I'm afraid I don't have time to visit in June. Pity. I've always enjoyed going to Norway. Fantastic country. I played there on many occasions in Gausdal and enjoyed skiing there as well. So yeah, rook g8 I think already is actually quite a nice idea. But Georgiou played knight e8. Rushi Shah asks, please cover the Giri and Duda game. Do you know what? I'm actually going to cover that for my patrons. So if you want to see my coverage of that, you'll have to become a patron to get my coverage of the well, actually it's the Dubov, not Duda game. It's the Dubov Giri game. You'll have to become a patron, Rishi Shah. So bishop comes back to f6. Well, I know it looks a little bit passive with the knight on e8, but actually this knight does a very good job of protecting d6 and g7. And then this bishop can kind of run outside the pawn chain very well. So it's a really common idea in the Najdorf and Scheveningen positions. Okay, bishop e3, queen e7. And now it's really interesting. Here, Georgiou moves the g pawn, but only one square to g6. I don't see anything wrong with g5 in this position. I think it's actually a good move because it rather highlights the poor position of the queen on h3. And the rook is going to come here. And actually, the queen often is well placed coming to f8. Well, he played g6. It's also not a bad move. Vahe Abraham, thank you very much. That's very kind. g6. Okay, white now played bishop f2, and only now Georgiou played g5. Zia says, what was wrong with b4? Been looking at it with white for a while. Okay, let's go back and look at, in this position, b4. Well, instinctively, I don't like b4. This is very typical for Sicilian positions because it just weakens c3 and therefore c2. So well, just coming back to d7. And you can see that white already has terrible problems on the c file. So no, don't like b4 at all. That would make life very easy. This knight is going to redeploy around here, coming in here. Or, well, I mean, after this knight moves, I think we can play this straight away and just take on c2. It's as simple as that. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, let's go back. So no, don't like b4 at all. Before queen e7. I don't think it makes much difference. Okay, you want to have, I'll go back. I'll indulge you. In this position, before queen e7. Well, we'll have to look way back. It's always the same problem. I don't think it changes anything. You know, in some position like this, the knight will just go back, and it creates chronic weaknesses down the c file. That's just the kind of move that black actually wants to see. Okay, if you don't mind, I'm going to press on with the game and get to the relevant position, which was this. And finally, Georgiou played g5, and it's a very strong move. Knight back. Rook g8, all as we've seen before. And now bishop d4. Now, Beta Benja says g6 mouse slip. No, it wasn't a mouse slip on my part. It was, or a finger slip, a finger failer. No, it's just that's the move he played, but he obviously didn't quite have the courage of his convictions. He thought about it and went g5 for the next move. Okay, your move. This is the actual game. What should black play here? Black to play is your next question. Black to play. What are you going to do? It's gone very quiet. When I ask a question, it goes very quiet, and I'm deluged with your questions. Tim says g4 looks to the obvious follow-up. Got e5 from Jan Air. Hans Andreas says bishop c8. Kaiser Anwar g4. So we've got 2 votes for g4. If only I could play g5. Unfortunately, excuse me. If only I could play bishop c8. Unfortunately, the rook is in the way. E5 looks very ugly. I'm sorry to call it, but I don't like giving away the d5 square. I might even, in this position, just take on c5 and put the bishop on d5. That looks very ugly indeed. Oh, now I've managed to give this bishop a square. Probably not this. No, I don't need to take. I'll just come back. No, don't like that. But g4 I think is an excellent move. Funny thing is, g4 was not played, but I think g4 is very strong. After this, and then we bring the knight into f6, and there's nothing to stop black taking here on the next turn. And I think this is a tremendous position for black, actually. Queen, I don't think, is well placed. It just feels as though this could open at any moment. I'd just like you to compare the 2 bishops. The bishop on b7 compared to the bishop on a2. Now this one is just biting on granite. And this one is looking at that soft pawn. Oh, that's very unfortunate. Is looking at that weak pawn on e4. And, you know, this one is going to drop. Not to mention simple follow-up of doubling on the g file. It's tremendous position for black. Yanir says, I've changed my answer to g4. Yeah, I understand. He did not play g4, however. He played instead knight d7. Georgiou could be quite cautious. He was actually a very fine positional player, but sometimes overcautious. Knight e5. I remember playing against him once, actually, in the Swiss league. We had... excuse me. Sorry, just one second. I played something very aggressive with white, and he was visibly extremely nervous. But in fact, he played extremely well, and found some good defensive moves. And just when I was getting worried, he offered a draw. Well, I bit his hand off. But basically, he'd outplayed me. But yes, he could be overcautious. But I think you can see that before he embarks on any attack, he wanted to get his pieces in absolutely the right place. And it is a beautiful position. Okay, let's see. And finally, G4 came. And this is incredibly strong. And now G3. There we go. Very strong move. Just vacating the G4 square. Okay, black to play. This is an easy one for you. Mohammed Shahid, that's very kind. I'm not always humble. I'm not always a true gentleman either. But no, seriously, Florin outplayed me, but was too nervous to follow it through. Watch a black play here. Georgiou has played a nice pawn sacrifice, giving his knight a beautiful square. So how should black follow up here? Zia wants to play rook g6. Probably rook g6 is a good move, but there's a better move. There is certainly a better move. F5 from Mohammed Shahid. That's a very bold move. And looking to weaken this diagonal, soften the diagonal, and that could be very strong indeed. Yeah, I like it actually. I think it's a good move. Perhaps the knight will return to f6. I suspect this is winning, actually. It looks like a very, very strong move. Really good move. Yeah. He didn't do this. He did something else. But something even cruder. Yes. Cruder, more crude. Queen f6, well done. Very simple. The queen is going to come here and deliver mate. f5 is also very strong. So the king has to step out of the way. But it doesn't change things. Okay, now, next move, please. What should black play next? Mohammed Shahid says, give him rook. Give him rook? No, not yet. What should black play now? Zia wants to play rook d8. That's quite slow. I mean, I suspect there are many good moves here. Rob Tierney wants to play rook takes knight. So does Buxy Singh. All right, let's have a look. So if queen takes, I imagine that this is pretty strong. Probably very good. Well, the king's staggering up the board, but should be good. Maybe this. Well, I don't think white is going to survive that. That looks very good. And what about pawn takes here? What does black do now? Still need to finish this. It's not completely clear. Yeah, it's not over till it's over. Ah, I see something good actually. In this position, okay, bishop e4 has been suggested, and here, keep going. Could do this. Could take here. Probably very good for black. I think it's strong. Black is only the exchange down, and queen is really threatening. Probably good. In fact, there's something clearer here, actually. He played knight e4. And what happens on knight e4? Not f5, by the way, not f5. Stronger move. A stronger move than f5. Yes, well done, Buxy Singh, Martin van der Hidde, Tim, Ahmed, and Rob all got, and Thomas Braun, and Zia, and Kaiser, and yes, of course, that one is much stronger than pushing the king. So knight e4 played, rook takes. Okay, keep going. Your next move, please. What's the next move? Black to play. F5. Well, it wasn't played. Knight f6. Knight f6 is probably a very good move because we could follow up with rook takes g3. Probably good. Yeah, I like it. In fact, he played queen h1. I mean, it's not such a difficult move. And then queen takes knight. There we go. He didn't even bother sacrificing any material. Just grab the knight back. I mean, I think there are going to be lots of good moves here, but this is incredibly simple. You know, why be flashy when you can just take stuff, basically? So this was played. And now he's the exchange up. Yeah, if queen takes, just take here. Everything's collapsing. Knight takes, rook takes. And we're almost there. Well, white does nothing here. Of course, it's completely winning. Probably time pressure was involved. And here, I'm sure Georgi was delighted to exchange the queens. And in this position, well, not over yet. Yeah, finally, white resigned. So, just coming back. Just to repeat, this was played in December 1964, some time before Fischer played it. And I have no doubt that Fischer would have known of this game. Absolutely no doubt. He was an avid reader of chess magazines from every country in the world, basically. And this was played in Hastings, which certainly at that time was, well, one of the most renowned tournaments in the world. So Fischer will have seen this game. if I'm just going to show you one more game. Just bear with me. Hi, back again. Nice to see you again. There was a game that Fischer played a little bit before the Anderson game. Hi, John. Yeah, hopefully I'll be in Dublin in the summer at some point. So it'll be nice to meet for a pint. Yeah, maybe Malahide. That would be good. Gibney's. See you in Gibney's. Actually, I like the Grand Hotel. Very chilled bar in at the front of the Grand Hotel. One Love asks, Danny, I think Carlsen style is a mixture of Karpov and Lasker. What do I think? I don't know. He's just a better player. Well, Karpov was very, very well. Okay, Lasker was good. It's hard to compare players from different ages. I think Magnus is something very, very special. You didn't often see Karpov play the kind of Sveshnikov that Carlsen's been playing over the last few months. And I think, Magnus has found a system that he really enjoys there, actually. Yeah, Ori, Fischer taught himself sort of basics of different languages so that he could read magazines. Okay. It's not so difficult to read a foreign chess magazine, even in Russia, even in Russian. I used to get Shakhmatny for SSR sent to me in the late 1970s. I think it was Shakhmatny for SSR, and well, it's not so difficult to read Russian chess magazines, that is. Rob Tierney asks, I hear you play bass too. What bass and style do you play? I play electric bass, and in various very poor bands. I also play double bass. I used to play in a jazz trio, play double bass. So yeah, I like that. But with things, when you play bass, you can fit in with any band. So I played in a big band with like 30 players playing double bass, playing Sinatra, swing stuff, all kinds of stuff, cheesy show tunes. You need a double bass. That was fun. But I play in blues bands, jazz trio, all kinds of stuff. At the moment, I'm not playing much double bass, but that's another story. Okay, listen, I want to show you this just very quickly because I want to talk about the provenance of this idea. Maybe this is all a bit technical for you, but there was a game that Fischer played in 1966. Just bear with me a second while I switch boards. 1 second. Here we go. So this was played in the Olympiad in Havana in 1966. So Fischer is black. So his opponent from Bolivia, all right, not such a strong player. So watch this, bishop c4. So bear this in mind. We've already seen Georgiou playing with black against this. In a sense, Fischer is playing against his own opening. And it's very, very similar. So we have this pawn structure. And Fischer sets up, as usual, this very harmonious development of black's pieces. Knight comes to e5, so it's tempting this pawn forward, but then e4 will be weaker. And yeah, the knight will either go here or here. But with the queen on f2, well, f4, of course, is unthinkable when the knight can come here. Now, watch what Fischer does. So this is 1966. This is about, well, 2 years, almost 2 years after Georgiou's game. Fischer plays here, and rook g8, and g5. Now, he doesn't mess around with it like Georgiou did. I think he recognized the value of this idea and just goes for it straight away. I suspect that he will have known of this Georgiou game. And Fischer just follows the strategy absolutely in a very straightforward way. He's not distracted. And now he's ready, because the pawn is on h3, he's ready to play h5 and g4. And that guarantees the opening of a file on the king side. And already this is incredibly dangerous for white. And, well, his opponent panicked here. His opponent just played knight takes. If black didn't have a good reply here, then possibly white would have some decent compensation here by planting a piece on f5. But actually, this is simply a tactical mistake, because Fischer played this and, well, wins one pawn. So it's only a pawn for the piece, and of course, with no support for the minor pieces, this is completely winning for black. So in a sense, this wasn't a proper game. We didn't see this strategy in action. But I think, there's a lot of talk about this Fischer-Anderson game from 1970, but this was played in 1966. There we are. So there was a point to all this, basically. So I hope, because there were a lot of questions about, who played this first, but I hope those games clear up some of the doubt about that. And I think that he had spotted that Georgiou game and wanted to try this strategy. Let me see. Luis Maria Vieto says, this g5, remember the g5 of Kramnik against Iranian candidates 2018? Indeed, a very nice example of an early g5 played by Kramnik. Of course, it is different. Very different pawn structure, actually. And I think the point is it's the way Fischer did it is really notable, because at that time it was very unusual to play it in this Sicilian formation. Okay, I'm going to take some more questions. Kaiser Anvar says, I'm using MacBook Pro, but I haven't been able to find a good chess software to use. Chessbase apparently for PC only. You can actually get online, and there are lots of features on playchess.com that you can use through your Mac. So I would keep going with it. And otherwise, you have to buy a PC, basically, because chess-based software is essential for every serious chess player. Yeah, Hans Andreas says Fischer's king was also castle, Kramnik wasn't. For me, it's not that. It's the fact that it's actually a very, very different pawn structure. Okay, listen, I'm going to show you a study. One of the studies that I showed in the community section. Omar Velasquez says boot camp for Mac is a good option to install Windows on a Mac machine. Okay, for all you computery guys, please go for that. Now, no one really cracked this position. Let me just share this 1 second. This is fascinating. I absolutely love this endgame. This was a study by the Dutch composer Weenink. I think he was Henry Weenink. I might have got that wrong. I'll look him up very soon. I'm going to look him up. Hang on, because I don't want to fall foul of anyone. Just a moment. It was Henry Wenig. I wasn't wrong. Good. Henry Wenig. Who composed this position in 1924. Wenig was one of the strongest Dutch players in the 1920s, but he was a very fine composer, endgame composer. But I really like this composition because it could have come from a real game. It's a very normal position. Now it's white to play and win. If you don't mind, just hang back with the questions. I want to look at this position. So white to play and win. There's one particular feature in this position which should alert you to the fact that white has winning chances. Then we can try and work out the details. But what is the feature which potentially favors white here? That's my first question for you. I think this is going to have to be my last. Luis, no, g4 is not the move. I'm asking you the question. What is the feature in this position which potentially gives white a winning chance? Jan says white, the white king. No, it's not that. It's not that. I'm looking for something else, actually. No, I'm not looking for a move, Zigzag. One Love says opposition. Actually, it's nothing to do with this. Yanir says close to black pawn. Zia says white can move forward. No, nope, nope, Athenian, it's nothing this. No, 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 it's not this. It's not this. Triangulation, no. Zugzwang, no, it's not this. What is the feature? I'm going to repeat the question. What is the feature in the position that potentially gives white winning chances? No one's got it so far. Jan says, how no? It's not this. What you're saying is correct, but it's not what I'm looking for. No, no one's got it. No one has it so far. Well, this is worth doing. You're not going until you give me the right answer. Okay, people have mentioned king position. They've mentioned triangulation. All these things are important. Zigzag is the first to mention it. Zigzag has got the right answer. Just call off the search. Everyone stopped answering. Only Zigzag has it. Zigzag says the G pawn is further away than the F pawn to these pawns. This is the point. So that if, for example, you manage to encircle here and you drive black's king here, so imagine a position with a black king on g3 and a white king on f5, then the position will be Zugzwang. Black will take here, white will take here, and white's king is closer to the pawn on b5. Now, Zigzag, I don't know if you actually meant this. Maybe you had something else in mind. But this is the point. And this is a very common feature in king and pawn endgames. So let's see it work out how this is in practice. Well, first of all, g4 or g3 is just a complete draw. So we know this. This is just a draw. Even if one side takes one of these pawns, it's just a draw. So we can forget that. So king e4, correct. Now black only has one move in this position, king g4. Right, over to you. How should white play in this position? Now we get into detail. We have the principle, and now we have the detail. Who wants to try and win this with white? Okay. King e5 has been suggested by everyone. I play here. After king e5, king g5, white makes no progress. Let me tell you. There is no progress to be made here. You could do this, and I'll play here. And you could do this, and I'll play here. And it's still a draw. So let's go back. Now, some of you might have spotted, oh, king d4, I will play here. And if the king comes here, I'll come back again. And if the king comes here, I'll come back again. And if the king comes to here, I'll come here. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. King e4, king g4, king d5. Now, this is important. If the king comes to g3, then we play king here. So this is what I'm talking about. And this wins. So if king takes, and the king reaches here and wins. And if the king comes back to g4, then king here. So f3, and the king gets there first. King here. King here. This is the position I was talking about in the beginning. Here. And this. So king d5 is correct. King h5. So this is an attempt to keep the opposition. So if the king comes here, king here, king comes here, king here, king comes to e6, you play here. So king c6. Carlos Costa says that answer was for me. He saw my answer and contested me. It's not the right answer. I didn't see what you were saying. I've been ignoring everyone. I'm sorry. I don't know what you mean. Oh, Carlos Costa says, but I was right to reach the f5 square is one goal. No, I think you're very confused. Sorry, you're not right. It's all about opposition and about this concept of getting this pawn, and if you can encircle the black king. King c6 is really clever because in this position, in order to keep the opposition, king g6, now you can actually take this because the king is going to get back in time. And there. And wins. BB says opposition. That's what I said. Well, obviously opposition is important, but the whole concept is about these pawns. That was what I was driving at. Oh boy, everyone's trying to claw it back. So king c6, really important move. And if king g4, now this is clever. How does white win in this position after king g4? How does white win after king g4? Okay. There we go. He's gone. Yes, well done. King d6 is absolutely right. King d6. Well, actually this works as well, but king d6 also wins and wins the opposition. So here, that is absolutely correct. Oh no, wait a second. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. Okay, king d5 is the same thing basically, because if king f5, then we play here, and this wins the opposition. So here, etc., and king here. We have king e4 opposition, and there we go, etc. So let's come back in this position. I'm going to go back to the beginning so we can see the whole thing in one go. So king d5 here, and now king c6. And after this, we can take, and that's rather important. Great, we got there. Okay, I think I better leave it there before I get even rattier with some of the people there. Let me just write this in first. So, wait a second. I'm just writing in the address of this. I should do this beforehand, of course. Patreon.com PowerPlayChess. If you want to support the channel, we'd be really grateful. For example, if you contribute $5 a month, you get extra videos, you get a newsletter with a test game. It's worth it. One Love says, breaking news, Gareth Bale takes a drop of wages and signs for Brentford, saying, I always wanted to play for the Bees. That would be a great day. Good stuff. Or you can make one-off donations on PayPal. You can also make one-off donations on PayPal if you're so inclined. All the links you'll find in the video descriptions, so do check out those. And listen, without your support, we wouldn't be able to continue. And I only do these with the support of Patreons and those that support on PayPal as well. So thank you very much. More videos coming soon. There's going to be more Fischer videos coming. And there's also Norway chess to look out for as well. So thanks, everyone. See you later.